That was
All right, awesome. We're going to go. Thank you, Mike, so much. For those of you who I have not introduced myself to, my name is Mimi Heinlein, Client Operations Manager at River. I'm going to introduce Dustin. Mike had a really wonderful overview of how him and his logic technology can help companies protect proactively, right? We're going to kind of follow suit and go into the individual level. The reason here, if you've been following any or all headlines over the last, what seems like 48 hours to 48 years of Bitcoin, is there's some risk there, there's some fear there. And there's a lot of protective measures that you can do and be aware of at an individual level. It gets really hard when you're starting your Bitcoin journey or just continuing it to understand what to look for, what to be cautious of, what to be wary of. And the technology and the bad actors and the manipulation keep getting more sophisticated. So it gets harder and harder to pull out that what is the web of truth and what is the web of fear and what are the web of lies. And this is not unique to any industry. This is particularly impactful in the financial services industry. So Dustin is going to introduce himself. He sits on our compliance team. And our job at River and my partnership with Dustin across our two departments is always to make sure our clients at River know that they have secure asset management with us as their custodial option. But that is only one solution. And we want to encourage and empower everybody to self-custody and know what that means and how that looks. And in order to do that, you need the tools and resources to know what bad looks like in the space. Bitcoin has so many benefits and can potentially have a lot of risks too if you don't have that contextual knowledge or that comfort level. So Dustin's going to take it from here, and then we'll follow up with any questions that you have at the end.
Thank you, Mimi. So my name is Dustin. I'm a compliance analyst here at River. Prior to working here at River, I was actually an intelligence analyst for the state of Ohio. In about 2020, I discovered Bitcoin, and then my entire life changed. I dove straight down the rabbit hole, and I just decided to change my entire career and move into Bitcoin. So I've been here at River for about a year now. And in my time at the state, I did help respond to several different cybersecurity related incidents, and I was exposed pretty broadly to the world of online schemes within the digital space. So we thought it would be a good benefit to you all, and sort of in line with the topic for tonight, to discuss some of the potential scams that you guys may come across, not just within the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ecosystem, but just the financial industry as a whole. Just because there's a lot of stuff out there that could go wrong, there's a lot of risks. We want you guys to be prepared and at least be able to point out some of the risks along the journey. So we're going to talk about who may potentially be a target, the type of scams that you could potentially come across, and then how you protect yourself, and then if you have a River account, how River protects you. Who may be a target? With any new technology or industry that is being developed or built, there are newcomers coming into that industry trying to learn about the technology, and there are knowledge gaps. You're trying to learn about it, how it works. Bitcoin itself is complicated, especially if you're not coming from like a technological background. And unfortunately, fraudsters look for those people that don't entirely have all the knowledge they need to have, and they try to exploit that by giving you misleading information, false information, in order to get you to do something or act in a way that you may not intend to do or understand that you're entirely doing. I realize I'm speaking to an entire crowd here that is into Bitcoin, so we may be above the level of most people that are first coming into this, but I don't want you to get too complacent with that, because fraudsters also think about that as well. And so they can be pretty sophisticated in how they're communicating to you and what they're communicating to you in order to get you to act in a certain way. On a similar note, they may be infiltrating, private social communities. Communities like this are great when you're coming into a new technology like Bitcoin in a new industry, because it allows you to meet like-minded individuals. You can learn from them, build community, and just bounce ideas off of each other, like we see here tonight. Unfortunately, fraudsters also know that, and they will target these communities as well, trying to, again, give you false or misleading information to get you to do something you may not be intending to do. It could be anything from inside of a Telegram group to a WhatsApp group to a Discord server to just straight up Facebook posts or Instagram posts. So it's just important to be cognizant of that as you're interacting with people online, especially with people you don't have met in person. Individuals who had their information leaked online in a data breach. We were just talking about this. The city of Columbus had a pretty significant data breach. I would be not surprised that everybody's information in this room has been leaked in some sort of data breach at some point, somewhere in time. Unfortunately, they're just super commonplace right now. And so if you've had information leaked online, like your email address, mailing address, phone number like that, fraudsters know how to access that information, and they are able to send you unsolicited emails or phone calls, again, with the idea of trying to get you in a state and get you false information where you might make a mistake or do something you don't intend to do. And then the last thing I'll point out here is you may think that fraudsters are going to target somebody who's got a significant value in an asset, but the data actually suggests the opposite now. This chart over here on the right is from the FBI. It shows the most common scam is typically a romance scam, and it only pays out on an average of $5,000 per incident. However, they're targeting hundreds of thousands of people at a time. So that multiplier really adds up to their bottom line. And it just makes it a big difference when you think about it from that perspective. And you may not think you have a whole lot of assets in Bitcoin, but they're only looking for somebody that has like $10,000 to $100,000 in asset. And that may not be enough or like that much to you right now if you only have, a tenth of a Bitcoin or something. But, hopefully the price increases over time, which will be all one. So you could see that price and that value of what you are holding increase over time, and you could become a more higher of a target than you may be previously in the past. And I don't say all this to scare everybody and freak everybody out, but I do want people to be thinking about this stuff now and be cognizant of it, as you go forward and as we journey through this Bitcoin industry together. So there's a ton of different types of scams all over the place. This data comes from the FBI again. The most common ones they're seeing that are increasing over time are the what's called a pig butchering romance scam, investment scams, and then I think you've got impersonation scams. I'm going to talk about these four specifically just because I feel like they're the ones you're most likely to maybe come across at some point online. There are other ones out there that you can research to try to protect against, but we'll just cover these four tonight. It's going to be social engineering, which is a pretty broad topic in itself, social media giveaways, phishing attacks, and then fake apps and websites. So social engineering is a pretty broad term. It essentially means any type of social or psychological manipulation to you rather than a brute force attack against you. So rather than attacking your hardware device or your computer directly, they're just going to try to trick you into doing something. And there's a couple different categories within it. I posted this. This is a really obvious one, so if somebody fell for this, I would be shocked. But this is a message from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saying, hey, I give $1,000 to my fans, just give me your debit card information, I can send it to you. Hopefully nobody in this room would fall for that, especially if he has no followers. But this is the kind of thing that unfortunately may work sometimes. Pig butchering is the one that is growing in frequency and relevancy most of the time. You have investment scams, which are also a social engineering attack, romance scam, and blackmail extortion. And sometimes these are all jumbled together into the same scheme. So you may jump between different stages of this if you're in the middle of a scam and being defrauded by somebody. Usually they're sort of all umbrella underneath pig butchering. Pig butchering sounds like a really scary, ominous terminology. For some reason, law enforcement has decided to call this scam pig butchering. They liken some of it to the terminology they use to describe some of these steps we're going to get into. But I don't want it to freak you out, like there's no actual pigs being butchered in this scam. It's just terminology, like a colloquial to like sort of give it some mean factor, I guess. Usually this scheme is going to start with some type of initial contact. This could be as simple as a message they send to you on social media, on Facebook or something, just saying hi, introducing themselves. Sometimes there's stories of people getting what appears to be an incorrect phone number or text message from somebody else that they thought they were trying to connect to somebody else, and they'll act like, oh, well, I couldn't get a hold of that person, but who are you? It's nice to meet you. Like, let's talk. They're really just trying to get you to start engaging with them in some way and talking to them so that they can move to the next step, which is building trust. And this is the most key step and the longest one that they take. This is a long-term scam. They're in it for the long haul. They could spend weeks to months to years on just this step, building up trust with you, building a relationship with you. Sometimes this is where the romance comes into it. They may try to work you into a romance just to get you to build trust in them so that they can move on to the next step. Of all of a sudden, they're going to introduce an investment opportunity. They may say, oh, my uncle works for a VC firm. My father-in-law works for an investment company. I have this great investment opportunity. You should get on it with me. You don't got to put in much money in up front, just a couple $100, maybe $1,000. They might suggest some platform that you can use. It just sort of depends. Every scenario is a little bit different. But they're going to try to get you to introduce some amount of money into an investment. And surprisingly, they will actually let you pull some of that money back out. They will move to what's called a fake return. So if you see that you've invested some money in this platform or this venture that they're going along with you, and you see the value go up, they might let you actually pull some of the money out, just to make it look like this is a legitimate operation, and this is a legitimate thing. And it just really builds the continued trust that they're trying to get you to believe in what is happening and what's going on, so that ultimately they can convince you to send in more money. They'll say like, well, look, you only put in $1,000 last time. We saw 500x returns. Why don't you put 10,000 and put 50,000 in this time? They'll start increasing the amounts that you should be putting into this investment. And eventually you're going to get to this, what they call the butchering stage, where usually they're just going to cut you off entirely and ghost you. Sometimes they will reach back out to you and say, yes, we still have all of your money locked up in this investment, but there's some sort of like tax issue, there's a legal issue, it's locked up with something going on overseas. They'll give you some sort of reason that you can't get the money out, and they may even say, you have to pay us more money to get the money out you've already invested. Like, you need to send us $35,000 more to get your $150K out. And so it's just important to remember that and realize that, so that you don't end up dumping more money into it, because really they're just trying to squeeze people for as much as they absolutely have. Along with big butchering usually comes some sort of romance scam. It's not always one-to-one, but a lot of times it is. But a romance scam is really just if you're meeting somebody online and they're professing love to you. They could be going, long-term relationships. It could go on for months to years. They may give you excuses like, I have a family member who's sick. I'm having hospital or medical issues. Potentially they're saying that they're locked overseas, they're in the military overseas, they need a plane ticket to get back. The FBI or the CFTC, they publish this data with some of the most common lies that are coming out of romance scams. It's like, someone close to me sick or hurt in jail, I can teach you how to invest. I'm in the military far away and I need a plane ticket to get home, I'm stuck overseas, I've come into some money or gold. There's a lot of them. But all of this is still wrapped up in the relationship you built with them and the trust that you have with them. And so sometimes it can be difficult for people to fully see through those rose-tinted goggles for what's actually happening to them, because they've invested so much of their life and time and energy and money into this person that they know online that they believe is a romantic individual with them. So I want to just pause there and just say, take all of this stuff when you're interacting with people online with a hefty dose of skepticism. If you never met this person in real life before, just be skeptical of that. The last one we'll go over in social engineering is blackmail and extortion. The main component of this one is just fear and urgency. They're going to try to scare you into doing something really fast. They're going to put urgency tied to it just to make sure that you're acting really quickly before you have any time to critically think about what you're doing before you do it. I myself have received an email before where somebody was claiming they had dirt on me, and if I didn't send them Bitcoin in 24 hours, they were going to send this dirt they had on me to all of my family and friends and to the authorities. I obviously knew it was a scam, so I just completely ignored it. But
they were going to release your Ethereum stash.
Potentially. That's the real risk. But it's easy for people to fall for this because of the fear and urgency. Like, when you read this the first time around, you may just panic. And sometimes they get really sophisticated with it, where they're able to look up some of your information online and attribute an address to you, or a phone number, or relatives, or family. But it's important to know that all that information is totally public. Like, you can get on whitepages.com and find out a lot of stuff about most people. So if they're able to put addresses and relatives, whoever's related to you, that doesn't necessarily mean they actually have inside information on you. They might just be getting it from the internet. Social media giveaways. I have been seeing these more and more and more all over the internet. Usually it's going to be somebody like Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, Cathy Wood, Jack Dorsey, somebody that's prominent in the Bitcoin space. It's getting even more sophisticated now with AI, because they're just making straight AI fake videos of these people talking that never actually happened. I actually saw one of these myself on YouTube, and I almost fell for it. I was very close, because what they're proposing to you is that if you send us Bitcoin, we will double it and send it back to you. And usually it comes with some sort of website that they have created on the back end. So you can go to the website, it'll look like there's almost real-time blockchain transactions happening, funds are moving back in and out of wallets. And unless you take a second to like cross-reference the transactions on their website with something on like public blockchain or blockchain.com, you may not realize that they're actually just totally fake transactions that are happening at all. And that was what almost happened to me is I saw the website, I saw, well, look at all these transactions going through, they're all getting confirmed, there's the block numbers, yada, yada, yada. And I was very close to sending it, and then I stopped for a second. I was like, wait, this seems too good to be true. Like, why would somebody stumble when I'm sending them? That doesn't make logical sense. And so it just took me a second to think about that, and then I did go look up on Mempool and realize that the transactions were not lining up one-to-one with what was happening actually in real time on the network. Phishing attacks are another type of scam. You're probably more likely to get this one if you had your information leaked online. You're probably going to be getting unsolicited emails or phone calls. Emails are going to come through. Usually it's going to be pretending to be some sort of legitimate organization, and they're going to give you some urgency with the email, like there's something wrong with your account, we're going to lock it down, or we're going to cancel it or close it within the next 24 hours unless you click this link and fix what we're telling you to fix right now. What I like to do is before I click any link in any email, if you actually hover over it, you can see at the bottom what it will actually be going to. And so I always try to double check one-to-one, is this link taking me to what it says it's going to take me to? The other bigger risk probably here is that you could be clicking this link and downloading malicious software. So if you hover over it, it may say like a .exe file right here, which means as soon as you click that, it's going to download and install malicious software, most likely some type of keylogger software or screen logger, which essentially just lets the fraudster monitor and record what's happening on your computer. And this will give them all of your login credentials because they can just watch what you're doing when you log in and track your email, passwords, and all that stuff. And so they may have access to any of your online accounts that you get that. If you're getting a phone call, it's going to be somewhat similar. It'll be a person pretending to be from a legitimate company. They're probably going to start asking you for personal information. They may ask you to change your password. They may provide you with a password to change something over. I actually just last week received a call from somebody alleging to be from Discover Card, who was telling me that my account that I had had for 10 plus years required some additional verification, and they wanted my entire credit card number, they wanted my name and address, they wanted a bunch of information on me, and I was like super skeptical right away. I'm like, this just does not seem normal. So I hung up the phone and ignored the call, and then I realized after looking up online at Discover Card's website that Discover Card's official phone number was only one digit off from the number that called me. So that's how sophisticated they're thinking about this, because if you were just looking at it and you just happen to know Discover Card's number on the top of your head, if you were just looking at it, you may just not notice it right away that it was only one digit off from the actual phone number. So be super aware of unknown senders, callers, URL links that you don't recognize, and anyone requesting any personal information. This sort of leads into the next slide, which is fake apps and sites. A lot of the phishing emails come with a fake website that they're going to send you to. So if it was an email from PayPal, for example, rather than sending you to actual PayPal.com, it would be sending you to paypal.com. And then what they can do is when you enter your email and password, they can just log that, and then the fraudster would just go to the actual website and log into your PayPal account almost immediately. And then they can just start transacting and doing whatever they want. Similarly, if you're going to download applications, contrary to probably most people's belief, it's not that difficult to get an application approved on Apple or Google Play Store. There are illegitimate applications on there. If you just search Google Play Store for Facebook Messenger, this is all the things that pop up. These are all companies. And I'm not even sure, I think this is the real one. But there's all the other options. And so you could actually download these and potentially like infect your device with some malware or compromise your device that way. So just double check links when you're going to them, and then double checking the application is from the actual developer, not some sort of spin-off. So how can you protect yourself? There's probably more things to talk about here than I can fit into a single night. So I tried to distill it down into a couple different bullet points. Use a secure custody solution. This is a very generic phrase, but that's intentional because what is secure, I think, is going to be relative for every person in here. I personally believe it should be a nice balance of what is secure and easy for you to use, but also just enough friction for somebody else to not have access, because you don't want to make it so complicated that you end up not being able to use it, or for example, my wife not being able to use it if something were to happen to me. So you want it to be relatively easy to use, that's secure enough for you, And it also may change over time. Like the amount of value that you have locked up in your assets may grow over time, and so your custody solution may need to change over time repeatedly. Use two-factor authentications, or what he's developing, on every online account that you can. Never give wallet seeds or account login credentials to anyone. No legitimate company in the world is going to ask you for your login credentials over the phone. They're just not going to ask you for that. And they will hope no legitimate company would ever ask for your wallet seeds. And then double quadruple check all Bitcoin addresses before you send them. I check like 30 times just to be double sure. Be wary of any unknown people contacting you online, especially if you've never met them in person. Double check all links and URLs before opening them. Only visit websites that are ending or begin with HTTPS. This is a more secure encrypted website. They used to not exist, they used to just be HTTP, but now there's more secure versions. So any most legitimate site you're going to go to is going to be HTTPS now. You want to keep your antivirus software up to date. And above all else, if you remember nothing else from tonight, if it seems too good to be true, it definitely is too good to be true. It is not true. So how does River protect it? River built we built our own entire custody solution. It's 100% full reserve custody solution. Multi-sig, geographically distributed. It's not built on a third-party system. And we do have regular security penetration tests, and we do have our SOC 1 and SOC 2 certifications now. All of this is to say that we have a really strong secure custody solution to ensure and prevent anybody from using a brute force attack against you and getting access to your Bitcoin. We have account protection set up like two-factor authentication, and then we have real-time notifications on all of your Bitcoin buys, sells, withdrawals, and deposits with River, so that you have constant ability to know what's happening in your account, even if you're not paying attention to it right now. Any like significant action on the account is a notification. And then a new feature that we have now is the new device verification. This requires any new device when you are logging in to be confirmed via email on the same device and same web browser. And this is really meant to prevent people from, infiltrating into your account from an unknown or unauthorized device. So it's only a device that you have, actually confirmed and verified yourself. And then within your account profile settings, you can actually view the verified devices now that you have previously verified. You can add them as necessary. And you can also see the login activity in your account. So if you notice a suspicious login or something like that you don't think was you, by all means reach out and let Amy know. And that's really going to be it for me. We'll open up some questions here, and I'll answer what I can.
Question, Dustin. So let's say your email is compromised and I have a River account. How do I, if it was compromised, how would I be able to show that I'm me to you guys?
I'll divert you. You can just use the CS, so they'd be the one you would be talking to.
Yeah, so first and foremost, on defense, we have ability to restrict an account immediately, right? Upon notification or even upon any identification that we have in our consistent account monitoring that a device or an account is potentially compromised. We can apply restrictions. Bitcoin and US dollars can't move to and from. We can do a full payments and transactional freeze, right? The unlocking then is really going to be customized to the case-by-case basis. We obviously don't want to send an email saying, hey, good to go, if that email's been compromised, right? But also phones can be compromised in those regards. And so we have a number of different channels and options, which I think, from a customer support and just a transparency support perspective is a benefit of River. Half of the team is typically in this room with you on a quarterly basis, so you know us and you see us. Security verification calls, protecting, customizing what if you want Bitcoin to go in but never go out, we can customize those components of your River account as well. So it fully depends on what was the act or action on the account, what devices or types of security authorizations were potentially compromised, and that then informs the unlocking components of it. But it's never one-fold. There's multi-layers involved. We're going to ensure that we have all of our baseline checked out, that we know, hey, if we need to put through to another step up into another verification process to ensure you are the person you say you are aware and you have the identification you say and you're asking for the action to be taken, we make sure that we have both from a payments risk perspective for you and for us, and compliance and the client experience all checked off. But it's highly a benefit of just, River's business model for the client-centered approach is that from a fraudster perspective, those aren't, if A happened, B may not always occur to unlock it. It will be diversified, it will be customized, and it changes and iterates as our platforms and our systems do to make sure it's not able to be easily circumvented.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that River did all that with the wallet. So the wallet on my account could be multi-sig and like I can use my account wallet like I would a normal wallet, Lightning wallet?
Our custody solution is a multi-sig.
Oh, the custody
Not your
solution.
account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
I was curious if there's the process of SIP swapping more prevalent due to it being an eSIM transition now from physical SIM.
Yeah, that's the main reason. You can actually do it totally virtually now. So you could actually get somebody calling, pretending to be from AT&T, telling you need to switch your SIM card, and they're just going to install an eSIM and asking for some information for some address and stuff. And they can just install an eSIM remotely. They don't really continue to do it. So just be very cautious who you're talking to and make sure you're talking to the actual person.
And a lot of these conversations might be, dumb moments for you all, but they're points of abandonment for people who are fearful to jump into this industry, right? Those headlines, those are scary things. And because a lot of scams and especially social engineering play on the two most difficult emotions to combat, which is love and fear, right? And they are long games. We see things, almost in a comical sense of, yes, if I saw that sentence, of course I would have a red flag. But this is weeks, months, and years of conversation. So like Dustin mentioned, the most critical part is that building trust, right? These things don't happen overnight. Bad relationships don't happen overnight, right? These things keep growing and being manipulated. And so, yes, if you all feel safeguarded, that's incredible. But it's also part of our advocacy for the industry to make sure that this isn't a fear tactic of just abandonment and not approaching Bitcoin and not getting people tools and resources and information to be able to equip themselves with their secure asset management. So a lot of our conversations on River don't necessarily just start and stop with the clients we're speaking to. We also want to understand that they have that network and that ability to keep growing that discussion and that conversation and that security so that that risk there and that fear and that hesitation is lessened, because with more information from reputable sources and more community like this where you're saying, not I can't believe you fell for this, but how did that happen? Where did this conversation start and stop? Can I learn a little bit more about it? Asking people for context and why creates that shared empathy, right? As opposed to that embarrassment and that shame, which a lot of scams, you feel that afterwards. And the last moment that we want to hear of any type of these, terrible occurrences is when Bitcoin is lost. And so we want to make sure that it is available so that you can have really strong discussions with your family and friends and networks, that when they can now reach I would never fall for that moment. We want everybody there. Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you, Mike. Please continue to enjoy chat. Find us after.